Welcome to Reinventing the Arena, the podcast that guides you through the powerful journey of aligning, embodying, and rising into your most authentic self. We dive deep into the transformative power of doing the inner work because the most important relationship you have is the one with yourself. When you align with your authentic self, you naturally attract the relationships and experiences meant for you. I'm your host, Molly Connolly, a coach who's passionate about helping you uncover who you truly are using human design, NLP, and self-empowerment tools. Here we explore the art of aligning with your authentic self, embodying your highest potential, and rising above old patterns to create a life that resonates with who you truly are. Whether you're seeking deeper fulfillment in love or your personal journey, this space is designed to inspire your evolution. Together, we'll explore self-discovery, share transformational stories, and uncover the energetic shifts needed to create the love and life you truly desire. This isn't just about change. It's about fully stepping into who you were meant to be. So, lady, align, embody, and rise. Welcome to your journey of self-transformation. Welcome to Reinventing the Arena. Why, hello, lady. Welcome back to the podcast. I am so happy that you are here because there is just so much going on, whether that's in my personal life, in my business, with my clients, former clients. There is so much transformation happening. So today's episode is a little shorter. It's designed to meet you wherever you are this summer, whether you're walking, hiking, resting, or laying by the pool, or maybe even just needing something to ground you in your ears. I am going to do my best to keep my summer episodes a little bit shorter for you. So speaking of transformation, I want to walk you through the 4 foundational areas of self-transformation called self-care, self-love, self-trust, and self-worth. This is something that I have brought into my Man of Your Spreadsheet Dreams course. This is something that I use with my one-on-one clients, especially as we get into longer containers or longer coaching programs, to really emphasize these 4 areas and how they show up in your life and how they play a role in your transformation. So I'm going to discuss that, how each of them plays a role in your evolution, how they're interconnected, and even add in a little bit of human design. So it gives you a lens for understanding where conditioning may be or where you might be blocking your access to some of your own inner resources. I'm also going to share some personal stories along the way to make this real for you. So let's begin with self-care because honestly, without it, the rest of this can feel pretty impossible. And I'm not talking about spa days, pedicures, even though those are fantastic. Who doesn't love a good pedicure or a relaxing massage, or even maybe those morning coffee rituals or whatever you do to get you started through the day? I'm talking about the kind of care that supports your body, that supports your nervous system. It honors your energy and it reminds you that you are a living and breathing being. You're not a robot. You're not a machine. So sometimes self-care is rest. Sometimes it's movement. And sometimes it looks like boundaries. It's choosing to listen to your body instead of overriding it, to slow down when the world tells you to hustle, to say no when your body or your nervous system says, that's too much, I can't do anymore. So back in the day, one of my corporate jobs, way before I decided to become a coach, was social media management for a rural TV company. So yes, farming, all that sort of thing. The stress from that job gave me not 1, but 2 ulcers within months within themselves. So I started job searching and eventually I moved on to a well-known international search company like Google, which increased my health issues and burnout to the point where my doctor told me I had to quit my job. For years, I was hustling hard and my body was screaming to stop. I didn't make space for boundaries, for more no's than yeses, and for the self care that would allow me to breathe. In human design, we can see how different energy types need different forms of rest. Generators and manifesting generators may recharge through movement or by doing things that light them up. Projectors often need rest or space from other people's energy. And reflectors, who are very in tune with the lunar cycle, require the right time to be in the right environment. Manifestors, they are going to have a bundle of energy in the morning and then will need to have recovery later on in the day. So, right now, what does your system need today? Next, self love. Self love is not always a feeling. It really is a practice. It's a decision. It's a way of relating to yourself, especially in the parts of you that you don't always want to see or you don't always want to show to others. Like, it's easy to love yourself and to show up as yourself when you're thriving. But what about when things are messy, things are uncertain, or you're in the middle of a transition? Self love says, even here, amidst all the chaos, the transition, the messiness, I am worthy of compassion. Stepping into self love requires self acceptance. In order to have self acceptance, you need to have awareness. And that starts with being aware of your full self. Identifying yourself is a lifelong journey and it's always evolving. So, who you were in your 20s is not who you are or will be in your 30s, your 40s, or even your 70s. Life happens and your identity shifts, but your love for yourself is what you practice day in and day out to help you stay grounded. And here's something else to just tie in the human design aspect. If you have an undefined G center, this is the center that's above the sacral, below the throat. If that's undefined, meaning it's not colored in your chart, you may have spent years shifting your identity to be loved. I have this as well. It's something I pay attention to over the last few years that has really helped me anchor in my own self-transformation. But so overall, self-love is the antidote. It reminds you that you don't need to, quote unquote, find yourself through other people. You're allowed to experiment. You're allowed to try on things. You're allowed to shape your identity the way you see fit. But you can always belong to yourself and come home to yourself here and now. Okay, the third stop, self-trust. This one could be a very sensitive area to get into because the self-trust is like a muscle. The more you build it, the bigger it gets. But also, if you don't tend to it, it gets worn down. How does that happen? By second guessing yourself, from gaslighting by others, and when people tell you that you don't have it right or you were wrong, which then can lead you to always looking outside of yourself to make your decisions. But like I said, it's also the muscle that gets rebuilt choice by choice. Every time you honor your no, you build trust. Every time you wait for clarity instead of forcing to find the answer, you deepen that trust. Human design helps here too. So when you understand your strategy and authority, you stop making decisions from pressure, especially pressure from outside sources, and you start making them from alignment. So for example, I'm a generator with sacral authority. When I've trusted that deep gut level yes, even when it didn't make sense to me, it led me exactly where I needed to be. Can you guess what one of those self-trust moments was? It was leaving my ex-husband. I could no longer trust him for numerous reasons or tolerate the relationship, hypothetical relationship, let me quote that, we were in. Back then, I was just about to turn 30, and a lot of my friends and even the majority of my family did not agree with my decision to have a divorce. I put my foot down knowing that my happiness and my belief in this decision was the best for me, because it was more important than the approval from others. And even though there were many life lessons after the fact, they led me right to my husband, Brad, where I can fully show up as my full self. All because I trusted myself first. What would shift for you if you started honoring your inner knowing, even when no one else sees the full picture yet? And maybe that's even you. And finally, self-worth, the pillar under it all. It is the quiet knowing that you are enough, that you are valuable, that you don't have to prove, perform, or earn your place in the world. This shows up in how you price your services, how you speak in your relationships, how you walk away from spaces and people that don't value you. Self-worth says, I deserve to take up space. I have needs, and it's okay to ask for those needs. And it's also okay to ask for more. And now let's go back to human design here for a second. I want you to find the ego, also known as the heart center. If you have your chart open, it is going to be slightly down and to your right of your G center and just above your solar plexus. If it's undefined, that means it's going to not be colored in. If it's defined, it is colored in. When you look at it, if it's undefined or even open, meaning there are no little numbers colored in, you might have learned to prove yourself through achievement, to prove your worth, to prove your value. And you might have chased validation to feel enough. But your chart doesn't ask you to prove. It asks you to remember. Speaking of remember, that corporate story I was just discussing in self-care, well, I felt as if I had to prove my worth, to prove I belonged to this company, to prove I deserved more. Of course, this rippled out into other areas of my life, such as family, friends, and finances. If you are hustling like your life depends on it, but yet you have basic needs met, you may be struggling with issues around self-worth and the other areas of self-transformation. But remember, transformation doesn't make you worthy. It reveals that you always were. Okay, let's take a breath together. These 4 pillars, self-care, self-love, self-trust, and self-worth, they are not a checklist. They're a living practice, like a spiral. You return to each one again and again as you grow in a variety of areas of your life. And when one of them feels a little off kilter, a little wobbly, that's not failure. It's almost an invitation back to yourself so you can tend to that area, maybe even pull from the resources of the other 3 in order to make your life or moment feel more secure and stable. This will harness a growth within you as you lean on different parts of you for your transformation. So, if you have a journal handy, a piece of paper, and a pen, I have 4 questions that you can ask yourself. What kind of care does my body need right now? What would self-love look like in this moment? Where can I honor my inner knowing more? What am I no longer willing to tolerate now that I remember my worth? You are your own safe place, and you are your own transformation, lady. I can't wait to hear how this went for you. But before we wrap up, I want to ask you something important. I have been doing a lot of behind the scenes transformations of my own, whether that's personal, it's a combination, personal and business. And some of what's coming up for me is making me guess what you may want, what you may need. And I have finally just decided to ask. Asking is a form of part of your self-transformation. It allows you to have more self-empowerment. And it also allows you to receive feedback and receive insight as to what areas you may not have seen. So whether you've been listening to the podcast for a while or just found it today, your input matters. I've put together a quick 5-minute or less survey to hear directly from you about what content you want, whether that's on Instagram, in an email, on the podcast. What about coaching? What are your preferences? Experiences that you, what experiences would support you the most right now? Would you love more, live workshops on human design or neurolinguistic programming? Do you want the man of your spreadsheet dreams to make a comeback, but with a twist? Do you prefer more personal stories or how-to episodes? Or maybe you're craving coaching that fits into your schedule in your life just a little bit more. This is your space too, and I want it to reflect you. You can find the link in the show notes, or you can head over to my Instagram and go into my bio and click the link there. Thanks for being here, and thank you for helping me shape what comes next, because it really is all about being of service to you. Now, if this episode stirred something in you, I would love to hear from you. Send me a message, share your favorite part, or leave a review. And if you're curious to learn more about your human design, you can download your free chart or even book a session with me using the link in the show notes. All right, lady, until next time, honor your care, choose your love, trust your knowing, and hold your worth like the sacred truth that it really is. Thank you, lady, for joining me on this journey of aligning, embodying, and rising into your most authentic self. Remember, the most important relationship you have is the one you have with yourself. And when you do the inner work, you naturally attract the love and life meant for you. If today's episode resonated with you, I'd love for you to rate and review the show. Your feedback not only helps more women discover the power of self-transformation, but also helps us grow this community. If you're ready to go deeper and align with a relationship and life you truly desire, I invite you to explore my coaching services. Together, we'll use human design, NLP techniques, and self-empowerment tools to help you break through old patterns and create a life that resonates with who you truly are. Visit reinventingthearena.com to learn more and take the next steps in your journey of self-discovery and alignment. Until next time, lady, keep aligning, keep embodying, and keep rising. Thanks for listening to Reinventing the Arena.